Well, one of the things I wanted to talk about was what is everybody, what is this group really about? What's everybody getting out of this group? I think I need an accountability partner. And I'm having my own issues with what's holding me back in this VO business, and it's definitely me. And it's been a struggle. And the whole podcast, and Mark, we talked about this a couple months ago about um, I don't really understand fully the point of doing the podcast. So I'm interested in what everybody else thinks about what they're getting out of the group and the point of the podcast.
Well, from my perspective, I'll go first, Doug, and then you can you can put in your 15 cents.
Okay.
The group, this little group was originally formed several years ago, and it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, we got together to be accountable for each other, to, make sure we're doing what we said we're going to do, and, trying to stay on top of each other with our goals and what we want to achieve in voiceover. Have we been doing that on a regular basis? Probably not. Are we hard ass enough to criticize each other and scold each other that we haven't been doing our VO due diligence? Yeah, probably, yeah. That's probably where we have fallen off the wayside. But the group, we originally got together to again, support each other and give each other a rah and help each other move along in this business as much as we can. Do we need to do more like script reading exercises and more marketing talk practices to hone our skills in that arena? Yeah, we need to do more of that. But yeah, that's what the group was formed for. The podcast was nothing more than a whim that we thought of, that, geez, being that we get together once a month, we could probably pull a couple of recordings, out of these little get-togethers and put them on there for people to watch and listen and see what somewhat uneducated, unprofessional, goofy voiceover people do, in a daily or a monthly type of arena. So, that's kind of my thoughts on it. I don't know what's yours, Doug.
Well, yeah, pretty much the same thing. The original point of this was to keeping each other encouraged and doing things. And even though I've been probably the least active as far as doing something between meetings, and I know that, but it's encouraged me to come back every month and learn some new things, which I have from everyone, and it's kept me somewhat motivated. And I find I'm getting more toward the end of this year, especially the last 2 or 3 months, where we've had you, Jeff, and John, and Cindy. So we've had more of us on here. So it's kept me a little more motivated to do things. If I hadn't been on this with Mark and Cindy, I probably would have ignored this altogether. I just walked away and not done anything. So in a sense, it's kept me interested. And I enjoy doing it. When I do come down here and tinker with it, I get frustrated with the technical part, which Mark has been more than gracious to help me out with at different times. And I've really appreciated that part. So really, it was just kind of to keep us all incentivized, I guess, to keep doing this and to find new things. And listening to Mark and Cindy and you, Jeff, and John, that's what's kind of kept me interested in it too. So I've gotten some things out of it, yes, and it has kept me motivated toward the end of the year. The podcast, in reference to that, it was just kind of a whim, as Mark said, not really to educate anyone, but just to kind of show what we're doing as 3 amateurs to do voiceover and maybe somebody else that looks at that, somebody just getting into it says, okay, yeah, that might be fun. Maybe I'll listen to a couple of these and then I'll get motivated to do it myself. So really the podcast wasn't really for any educational thing. I mean, from my viewpoint, I thought it was just going to be fun to put us out there and see how, goof we are and just talk about different things. And hopefully we'd get some comments back. People would say, oh yeah, well, what about this? Or have you seen that? I saw your podcast from November or whatever. And did you think about doing something like this? So that's kind of what I've taken away from it.
When you're talking about an accountability partner, Jeff, what are your thoughts on that? What are you looking for in that arena?
I guess, and maybe it's just I need more structure as far as actually setting goals and then following through with them. But I've never been a goal-oriented person, though. That's one of my problems too, and maybe that's a bad thing. I mean, even in my career over 30 years, what's that?
Me too.
I was just,
that's always been a tough thing for me, because even in the jobs I've had where I've had several companies I work for, they're like they want you to set goals every year, and you meet with your supervisor and go over your goals. I always dreaded that, because I'm just going about my job every day and try to do the best job I can.
Again, me too.
So I was in an accountability group back in 2019, and it kind of fell apart, but we were together for close to a year, and it was a cool group, and everybody was super supportive and that kind of thing. And maybe we weren't tough enough on holding each other accountable.
That's our issues. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a normal issue for a lot of groups.
Yeah. When you get to where we become friends, I think of Cindy and Doug and you and John. I mean, we've all grown into a friendship. Yep. And we're not like coaches or anything like that, their job is to be an asshole to us, and say, you know what, hey, if you're not going to do this, go, sell ice cubes or do something else, so yeah, that part of it's kind of tough. Do I at times feel like I'm pushing you guys? I feel at times when I'm bugging you guys for something, hey, next meeting we're going to do this, or, hey, I need this recording, or I need that, or I'll bug Cindy or Doug about something that they're working on or not working on. And, I feel like I'm being, do I have the right to do that? That kind of bothers me. For what it's worth, and I don't know, I don't have any issues with anything you've done. So if you kept doing that, I think it's a good thing. Okay.
I need to market better.
Yeah.
I have all these ideas on social media posts that I have to record and do, and I keep putting it off. So those are goals I need to probably be specific on. And I'm actually having a consultation with a voice actor, Jesse Carroll, who I just discovered by accident on YouTube. And he did a video about why he doesn't think direct marketing, email marketing, he thinks that's a big waste of time. And that, in his opinion, and this is, he says, this is my opinion and this is what works for me, he auditions 30, 40, 50 times a day. I think I know who you're talking about. I think I've seen a couple of his YouTube things. He's pretty interesting. Now, he was an actor, an on-camera actor that really was struggling and decided to get into voiceover, and then kind of figured it out, and he claims within a year he's making six figures.
Wow.
Now, the thing is, maybe he's got that he's a good actor, and so he's been able to jump into voiceover and is really good at self-directing and doing auditions. if that's the case, his thing is if you audition all the time, you're auditioning for real jobs. Where when you're emailing people, they don't necessarily have jobs. You don't know when they're going to have jobs.
True. Yeah.
So I'm going to have a consultation with him I want to find out his process. How does he do 30 plus auditions a day? Now he admits that he'll spend 4, 5, 6 hours just auditioning, which is cool if you can do that.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and maybe he's got a system of auditioning very quickly, but if I get 10 auditions done in a day, that takes up a lot of time. For me, maybe I'm not as fast as I should be.
Do you know kind of what's your average time to do one audition? Do you know?
Around 10 minutes, 10
Okay.
to 12 minutes.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah. But I mean, you multiply that times 10, you've wasted what?
So you're looking at, you can do roughly 6 in an hour.
Yeah, 5 or 6. Yeah. But that's a couple hours right there just to do 10, and he's doing 30 or 40. Jeez.
Now I do know some voice actors that they don't spend more than 5 minutes in, but they can just crank them out.
Right.
And that part I don't understand. I don't know how you can record an audition, do whatever editing you need to do, get it sent out in 5 minutes. I mean,
literally they're doing, obviously, and I think these people if they're getting stuff from their agent, they're probably spending a little more time. It also depends where you're getting your auditions from. Like if you're on, say, voices.com.
Right.
I know people that they jump in the booth and they do 1, 2, maybe 3 takes. Then they clip off the take or 2 if they send 2 takes maybe. And, they have their processing in place that takes 30 seconds or less. And they send it off in less than 5 minutes. And even voices.com used to, I don't know if they still are, because now they're under kind of new management and things have changed.
Right. Yep.
That's what they were suggesting. You need to get down to where you can audition in 5 minutes. I'm like you, I'm more in the 10-minute range, and it's easily can go to 20 minutes if I'm not kind of feeling it. I'm doing takes and I'm not getting it. I keep wanting to do them over and over until I feel more confident.
Yep. And my issue with that is I'll do 2 or 3 takes and I'll listen to them and I'll go, yes, I didn't like that take at all, So I go in and do another take and geez, that sounded like the first take. And yeah, I'll waste a good amount of time doing exactly that. If they're quick little tagline auditions, yeah, I can knock those things out in no time. But when you're doing like a narration audition or something like that, and they've got a paragraph that you've got to read, and that's always been a question to me. They've got like a paragraph or 2 that you want to read for this narration or a corporate industrial read or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're reading all of that, and if you do at least two different takes on something like that, that takes a while.
Yep.
Well, I've got a couple questions in regards to that. And first of all, if you're doing 30, 40, 50 things a day and sending these out, you've got some kind of a template or something that these going out with emails and how are you getting this down? So you got to have a really quick way to do it. And I guess the other part is when they're reading these scripts or lines, and are they really looking to get the acting part in it? Or are they just putting out there for their voice? Here's my voice, and here's what it sounds like right now.
But you definitely have to be acting. You can't just listen to your voice.
Right. I understand that too. Yeah. But then I guess it comes back to this Jesse that you mentioned. He's turning out all these tapes, and you said he was in on-screen acting, so he's got some acting experience. So when he grabs these scripts, yeah, he's got that acting experience behind him, so he can get through there. He can read that and give them the emphasis and the things that they want. So that's probably what helps him get those things out quickly. Do we listen to our own too intensely? Maybe, maybe we should read it and send it out. Maybe at this point in my career, I guess that's probably what I would be looking for. You want my voice? Do you want my voice or not? I guess that's probably, I want to try to make it as presentable and make it sound as authentic as what they want to hear. But, with mine, I guess, my acting is limited at best. And I just want to get my voice out there to see if there's any interest in it at all.
Truthfully, for me right now in my life, I don't know what I'm doing, but I like this group because it keeps me connected to something that I was interested in. I haven't been as productive in it. I have gotten some jobs and I've gotten paid to do them. Am I going to make a lot of money out of it? I kind of resolved myself, no, that's probably not going to be the thing for me, and that's okay. But I'd still like to do it. And I think this group is something that gets me excited about it again. And, I always have goals at the end of this, at the end of the group. Do I always complete them? No. But this last, with this little assignment that we had about the, 'twas the night before Christmas, I did do that. I did do some medical reads, and I realized I have to really set up this little studio I have, because I was balancing the mic on its box, and because I don't really have a table on a chair. So, I think that helped me kind of maybe start moving forward a little bit. I'm not in a big hurry. So I don't know, am I explaining myself clear enough, I guess, about, you're shaking your head, Mark?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And again, I told Jeff that, as far as the accountability thing, none of us are big enough assholes to say, Doug, when are you gonna get me those demos that you've been promising for a year and a half? Cindy,
Like me?
what about? Well, yes, Cindy,
I did, didn't I? I got you too.
You got me. Yes, you did. You got me 3 reads.
And I'm going to do the meditation one. So see, it eventually will come.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think the longevity of us meeting kind of means something. Obviously, we're still interested in this and want to help each other out, and other people. I like these other projects, like the podcast thing and stuff like that. I think that's kind of fun. I want to do things that give me enjoyment in my life now. I'm tired. I'm tired of I just want to have a little bit more joy. I have to find some joy. And so I don't want it to be like work. I want it to be fun. And maybe that's the wrong way to look at it, but I think it needs to be fun. I don't know. For me, it does. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I
on to somebody else.
No, no, and that's part of it. We got to have fun doing this.
That's right. Yeah. So what do they say? If you enjoy your work, then if you have fun at your work, then work's never really work. It's enjoyable. So, I agree with you, Cindy. You want to have fun with it, and I know I'm not gonna make $1 million in. I'm not going to be in 6 figures a year or anything like that, but I do enjoy doing this, and this has kept me incentivized to do it, and else pushes me to really listen to commercials on the radio if I do have the radio on and when I'm driving and doing my job. I listen to those, and especially when you get out in the small towns and listen to some of the voiceover people, they go, "Oh my God, I could do that." It keeps me interested in doing things too, and listening closer to things that I never would have listened to before or paid attention to.
Plus I think as we talk, some new ideas come up, and I personally learn some things. I think the other thing is, if we want more accountability, there are things, we've never been one for having rules or anything, but we could, think about that and put some things into place so everybody is getting what they need or want from the group. And I mean, that's just a thought. So
Yeah. My position in this voiceover business is a little different from Doug and Cindy's. I would like to make six figures doing this.
Mhm.
You know, as a retired construction worker, I would like to make, you know, doing this a nice income for myself in my retirement. So yeah, I want to turn this into something. And like Cindy said, yeah, our little group we never made up rules that we have to do certain things by the next meeting. You know, hey, we'll try to do this. I want to get this done next month. We have done that. You know, what do you want to get done, you know, within the month? And we have done that. Has Cindy and Doug ever done that? No.
Right. Well,
and you know what?
Yeah. Now I'm being a big butthead, aren't I?
Yeah, really. So one of the things that just came to my mind is, you know, we could have when we meet once a month, right? So we could have it focus on one person and their, you know, what they're doing and what they've done. And I mean, that's a thought. If you want to be put on the spot, Jeff, there you go. You can, we can have you like, okay, what did you do this last month? And here you go. Tell us what you sent out or what you did or marketing or whatever. I don't know. So, I mean, we can brainstorm that. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, that's just my 2 cents. So.
I've got a couple of questions, and Jeff, the first one is for you. Did you record the night before Christmas and send it to Mark?
Yes,
You did.
I did.
Okay.
In fact, I did 2 versions.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Cindy, you said that you did too, right?
I did too. Yeah.
And I did too. And I guess my next question is, what made us do that? Because normally I have just dropped the ball between meetings, but this time I recorded it. Cindy, you recorded it. Jeff, you recorded it. We sent it. What was the incentive to have us do that? Was it the season or something in particular? I don't know. But then, you know, I recorded the one and sent it here. But then I also went back in and I recorded another one for my grandkids back home, back in Omaha. So
Cool.
It got me going to do that again. And that's where, you know, I was going to talk about the acting part of it. But it got me to do that. I thought, wow, what did Mark do this time to make us or to get us to do this? I don't know. It sounded fun for one thing. And then once I did the one, then of course that went hand in hand with the other one. So I don't know.
Yeah, and the same thing happened to me because I first looked at it, I'm thinking, Jesus, this is long. How am I going to do this? And
it didn't take very long though, did it?
No, it didn't. And I did mine like you saw. You got mine in pieces. So I did section. I thought that might be, and I thought it might be helpful, especially if you were taking pieces, you know, and dropping them in certain areas. But like you, Doug, after I did that, I thought, oh, I have this stuff set up. Let me try. I went through my files. Let me try to do some medical ones and see how that works. And then I still have it all. It's kind of like crazy in there. Like I said, I have to fix it up, but it did. I don't know what it was that kind of inspired me. Maybe I did just want to read that because I remember a couple of years back, and Jeff, you weren't in this group, but didn't we do something similar? But it came out really nice.
Yeah, we read the Christmas Carol.
Yeah, and it was like a whole bunch of people in it. I just thought it came out nice. So maybe I had memories of that, and I thought, oh, this could potentially be really kind of fun. So, and then I sent you the redneck version of it, but we might want to do that one at some point.
That was cute. I like that. That was cute. Yeah. So that question was directed to Jeff. I don't know what part of the question was.
And we all answered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what the question was.
It was why? What made us all do this?
Oh, because Mark asked.
Oh, we never listened to Mark.
So all I need to do is keep asking you people for something. Hey, do this, do that.
Read that.
Well, yeah.
And you put a deadline in it.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
which was good. Because then I thought,
Yeah.
okay, I have to get this done by December 15th.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Well, you know what? That could be something that we could talk.
Work on. I
Yeah,
don't
we could
know.
work on that. That's again, I like this group. I want more out of this group. I get frustrated at times when, you know, things don't happen like as fast as I'd like them to. I get frustrated when we can't make it, once a month. I that kind of, frustrates me down the line, but life gets in the way, shit happens. Uh, I get to a point where I get an attitude, Jesus Christ, it's once a month. How tough is this? But then I think to myself, life does get in the way. I have the same thing happen. So
We've been meeting for, how long? I mean, it's been since 2010 or something like that.
yeah,
Wow.
and
I didn't know it was that long.
Yeah, I mean,
we actually Cindy and Doug started a meetup group. And then I joined at the first meeting that they had. And from that meetup group, we've been meeting ever since. Now we left that meetup group, but we stayed together.
but there were a lot of people in that, newbies and stuff like that. So when we all
Yeah.
moved, then we decided to keep on meeting. But, I'm sure since we've been meeting that long, we've got kind of lax about kind of what we're doing. And like Mark says, life gets in the way and stuff like that. Who had this going on? Who had that going on? Moving, illnesses, deaths, whatever. So, I mean, I would really like to hear your kind of, maybe that's one of the things we can do for next time. Everybody make some suggestions about what they would like to get from the group. That might be an idea. I don't know. Mark, you can say, okay, I want your 3 suggestions by whatever deadline, and we'll all get them to you.
Okay. You know what? I will email all of you guys a little quick little email about that, and I'll surprise you what I say in it.
Okay, sounds good.
And you know what? With emails, I can tend to get, pretty rigid on stuff. So maybe that's a way we can do things. I don't know. Again, you guys are my friends. It's like one of those things. I don't want to be that butthead that, you guys talk, after the fact, and Jesus Christ, who the fuck does Mark think he is?
Yeah, it's like Willie Nelson has 3 rules. Don't be an asshole.
Right.
Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
Don't be a goddamn asshole.
There you go. See, I knew I liked Willie. All right.
I do too.
Hey, in the chat, I put a podcast of an interview with J. Michael Collins.
Okay.
Incidentally, the name of the podcast is Another VO Podcast.
All right.
Now, there are 3 guys that are in 3 different stages of their voiceover career. One's been doing it, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. One's like 10 years. The other one's like 15 plus or something.
Oh.
And I just discovered it a few months ago, and I think it's a pretty good podcast. And now they're getting to the point where they're interviewing people because they actually have somewhat of a following. Like they interviewed Mike Hathcote, but the last one, well, I don't know if it was their last one or not, but J. Michael Collins. And if you don't know who he is, he's like $1 million earner in voiceover, and he owns VO Atlanta, and he's big in the Gravy for the Brain and VO North, I think. Not North. One Voice. Anyways, he's really good at offering what the trends are and being very informational for the voice community. He seems like a very genuine person, but that they talk about all kinds of things in that podcast about what you get out of online, the voiceover conferences. But he goes into what the trends are, and it's very interesting to hear what he has to say. One of the reasons he knows the trends is he has a lot of agents. Like he doesn't say how many, but he may have like 100 agents. But he talks to them because he also does VO education, and he does podcast production. So he does talk to his agents specifically about what are you seeing from jobs that are out there, jobs you're getting, and what are the voice talent doing that's good and bad. And so he gets a lot of feedback, and he imparts that to the community, and he's very good at it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like an hour long, and not all of it is earth-shattering stuff, because they joke around a lot, and they start going down telling some stories, but he really imparts some very good knowledge. I think he's a person worth following, because he writes blogs once in a while and stuff. So I found him to be very interesting and insightful in the voiceover community.
Well,
It's
thanks.
called another VO podcast.
Another VO podcast is the name of the podcast, and he was a guest on one of them.
One other thing that popped into my head, one of the reasons, like, because I was on Alignable, and that's where I think I connected with you, Jeff, and John. And I think one of my thoughts was to bring new people in to kind of stimulate it a little bit too. So, so we were putting pressure on you, Jeff, just saying.
Yeah, you were brought in so you could stimulate us.
Yes.
Sounds kind of sexual, but I don't know if we want to
Sorry
go
to
there.
disappoint.
So all I need to do is send you guys an email saying, "Hey, I want to do this," and you'll go, "Okay, let's do it."
Yeah. With the deadline, you have to make sure you put the deadline in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Going back to the when Cindy said that you did the read for the Christmas story or Night Before Christmas, and that's what made me wonder if Jeff had done it too. And then I thought, okay, all three of us did that, and normally I'd probably go, okay, yeah, I'll do it Saturday night, and then I don't do it. But then I thought, well, why did we all do that? That was good that we
John
did.
do it too?
Yeah. No, John did it too. I mean, his response back to me, he says, "Hey, that's a great idea. I'm going to get right on it." And he did.
Yeah.
I mean, he jumped on it and got it to me like, hell, a couple of days later. He was.
Mark, yeah. And
Yeah.
Doug, I don't know, but I thought, okay, I'm going to take the time and do this too. I don't know what that was about. I thought, well, I don't know. I don't know.
And I just wondered, was it because Mark say, here, read this and send it back to me? Was that it? No matter what it was?
Because you really never ever did that before.
Right.
No. I've always waited for you guys to, because you said, "Hey, I've got these scripts. I'm going to read them, and I'll get them to you." And I'm like, okay, when you get them now. Yeah. I mean, if you want me to, I'll pick scripts and send them to you and say, "Hey, read this shit."
I was going to ask that, but I didn't want to tax you with that, Mark. I mean, that's just another burden, on you to do. I mean, you're doing the podcast and everything else and setting up the Zoom meetings, but I think it was good. And I come down here just, for example, I've got probably a couple dozen little scripts here that I could read, but I come down here, look, I'm like, I don't know, what do I do? I read this one, I read that one. But when I've got one that says, here, read this one, for some reason that got me to get on the microphone. So I don't know.
And you know what? Doing things when it comes to voiceover, it's not a burden for me. Whether it's work that I'm doing for myself or with you guys. I don't
know if I don't think it's a burden. Me and my daughter were talking about this the other day. It's more of a there's this procrastination, and there's this thing about, and I think deep seated as well. Am I really good enough? Is this really going to sound okay? I think there's kind of that in there, so
a little doubt.
The doubt, yeah. And I think that kind of is, well, I don't know, the thing isn't set up right, or, there's all these excuses kind of a thing. But I think but the more you do it in practice, the better it will be, I mean, Doug, we talked about the acting thing, and I did take an acting class down at the Denver Center Theater. And I think maybe depending on what type of voiceovers you're doing, it's not that anything that you do like that is going to help. But on the other hand, I still think you can do voiceovers without like really being a hardcore actor or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean,
something I noticed too. When I made this last audio for the Night Before Christmas, I did the one for you guys, sent it to Mark, and I thought, okay, I'll do it for my grandkids. So I did it for the grandkids, And I played it, and I thought, okay, I'll do it again. Well, then I found a technical thing that Mark helped me with last week.
Not really
And
well. I didn't help you very well, but
still helped.
you got it figured out though. That was good.
Apparently I needed that moral support. But then I sent it to my daughter. I said, here it is. And she sent back, oh my God, it was just great. The kids will love it. And we'll play it for years to come and da, 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 da. And so I went back and I listened to it again. And I guess this is where, that's why we're called voice actors, because we have to kind of act a little bit as we read these things. And as I was listening to it, some of it I would start out, it just sounds, Doug, like you're just reading it. You're not really doing it. And then I get to the end but then I said, okay, there's a little more acting in it. It's more like you're telling a story. And some parts just sounded like I was just reading it from the script. The other sounded like, okay, now you're really getting involved, and I want to tell you this story. So that's something I found that I really need to work on is getting more, not just reading it, but acting in it.
Right.
Becoming a part. Yeah.
And you're going to get better at that just again with practice. And again, you may need to go to a coach. I'm starting back with a coach. And it's again just because I'm auditioning a lot and I'm getting those being considered or being put on the short list or this and that. And when I talked to this coach that I was recommended by, and I was recommended to this coach by a marketing coach, because he said, your marketing is right on. Your imaging, my name and my website and how I image that whole thing. He says, man, it's perfect. Come on, last name like o'clock and and how you're doing it. He says that's right on. He says my auditions were okay. And this is from a professional VO marketing guy. He says, yeah, your auditions are okay. They're not like standout great, timely, up-to-date auditions. And he says, you might want to work on that. And I'm like, okay, there's some good constructive criticism there. And he says, you want to get to the point where you're doing these auditions where you're not sounding like you're reading it, where you sound like what I'm sounding like right now, just talking to you and saying, hey, yeah, you sound like a real person talking to me, not like somebody reading to me. So, those are the things. And I got together with this coach that this marketing coach recommended me with. And I'm going to be starting lessons with him tomorrow. My first lesson will be tomorrow. And again, I'm going to jump right in and get right after it and, see what I can learn and how I can get better and how I can improve what I've got out there with my auditions and my readings when I'm and my demos and this and that and improving all of that, so I can then go out and seriously market to these people. And I want to get back to these marketing coaches, this one marketing coach in particular, and have him mentor me into different things. So, I mean, those are things that, if you guys want to improve in those arenas, that's what you're going to have to do to get into, just us talking, you listening to me and me listening to you guys. We're only going to do so much for each other. Because again, we're friends, and I'm not going to be a hard ass to you guys when you're sending me stuff. To a point. I mean, to a point, I am. I'm going to say, "Oh no, Doug, that read was, there's noise in the background, or you fell apart at the end, or I'll do that. Which I've done before.
Yeah, that's been great. That's been great criticism or incentive to work on those things and make them better.
Yeah. So there you go. That's where we're at.